Hello guys, welcome back to Comic Book Cafe, and this time around we are reviewing Batman Superman issue 23. So let's recap real quick the last issue. In the last issue we still have Batman and Superman, not entirely the new Super Batman, and obviously the new, less powerful, everybody knows who you are Superman, with the true storyline which still goes on through all the books that he's in. What happened in the last issue was basically an enemy from the underground shows up. He wants to capture the sun that Star Labs has. I believe it is Star Labs has it. And Superman and Batman stop him. But the way Batman went about it, he started a war, right? And Superman tried not this to happen, but it's too late. So at the very end, Superman goes underground. Tries to go underground to change. What was it? UK? I probably ain't gonna say it right. Anyway, and it's fought up on the ground, and that's how it ends. So we continue right where this left off, where Batman's trying to talk to Superman, and Superman's falling with this big creature, talking about all the ways he could possibly get hurt because he is again 100th of the power he used to have. When he says it, he is a little more stronger than a human. He can't fly. He doesn't have laser vision. He can die and get seriously hurt, but he makes it down there. He talks to Superman how Superman's like, Batman's like, don't start a war, and he's like, that's funny, you already did. And Superman's doing what Superman does, and he's trying to help everybody. He wants to stop this, so he goes underground, and this is where things get interesting. So Superman goes underground, and ultimately he goes in disguise, and he makes a comment to Bruce again, like he has for a while, how he feels like Bruce and how like Bruce used to do, hide with disguises, and how it was good to him to have a secret identity again wearing this because, obviously everybody knows everything about him and he no longer has a secret identity because everybody knows he's Clark Kent. He goes, underground and he sees these humans here. They're not like subterranean people like he thought it would be, or at least there are. And he almost hurts them running in one of these dinosaur things. He jumps off and protects this kid. And this lady shows up and they're talking, and he plays a lot being one of these guys in the army, and he digs and he helps her out, and I'm sure she probably in a way figures he's he's different like than most of them, but then after all that plays out, the other guy, they know, I guess somehow they know their ID and he knows who he is. Skansman knows who he is. The guy he's supposed to be, who's been disappeared a month ago, and they hit Superman and chain him up and stuff, and make him go through stuff first and say, you'll fight a war for us, basically that he has to help them fight a war, and this stuff. And I guess to make him pay because he's been gone for a month, right? They never think it's somebody else; they just make him pay. But anyway, after that, he ends up going, being where everybody else is, where the big powwow is, where the leader's gonna unveil his plans. And Superman's kind of torn in this book because, in one hand, he fears what they're gonna do, what happens, what could possibly happen if there were, people above, like that he protects. But then he's also worried about the people underground because people underground aren't necessarily bad guys. A lot of them are just trying to survive. A lot of them have come down from Metropolis to live a life they could never live up there, especially after they say the Batman thing that happened. And they're not inherently bad. And even Earth is not inherently bad. He's trying to tell the people what he do to them, like give them a son, give them a better life. He's trying to do what is right, and morally for Superman, he's not doing anything wrong. So he's kind of torn in this. And why this is all going on, the guy that Superman had approached about like helping him, goes talks to the guy that obviously Clark Kent worked for at the paper, and the guy at the paper, calls him a traitor, and he says, when I heard Clark, wasn't like did anything wrong, he doesn't know. He goes, I loved him like a son. But imagine somebody who worked at the police force. Imagine somebody who worked at the police force, and you found out that he was Batman. How would you feel? And he says, a good point. And as he leaves, Lois Lane's following him because he fears someone's following him. and she has her talk to him, and she's like wants to talk to him, and he asks him about obviously Clark, because Clark pushed him. She's like, Superman, Clark will always do what's best for everybody, and she says she's gonna keep tabs on him. And the guy's always trying to counter everything, right? Like she's talking to him, and he has oh God, I can't remember the guy's name protecting her, and she's like, yeah, well, he's not a god. Like he makes mistakes like we do. Clark Superman, he makes mistakes like we do, but in the end, he always does what's best for everybody. Just may not be the way we think it should be. It's the way he thinks it should be. Which is rather interesting how she sees him and his thoughts. Rather cool. So we go back down to Superman, and that guy is now talking to Superman on Superman opens the channel, and they're talking. Just wanted the channel to be open. The guy says a bunch of questions like how much weapons and people, and he's like, I can't answer that right now because they're like the Urk is giving a speech. How can I ask you to how can I promise you again I'll give you these things when I haven't fulfilled that so far? I failed you so far. But he does. And people are like, raising their fists and, chanting and, and Superman's like, God help us. They all believe in it. And he goes, and I think I do too. Attack get the sun from the upper world. Because sun's being transported and Batman's guarding it. Along with the, basically, what was the comment the guy made? Unless he has a navy, he's not going to get the sun that Starlight has made. And then the shocker at the end, he goes, we have a newest ally in the battle, and it's Aquaman is our new ally. And he's like, he doesn't need an armed navy, he's got Aquaman. So a lot of rather interesting things play out in this book when you think about how these guys are supposed to be bad, but Superman doesn't see them bad, and they're not really bad at heart. They're people trying to survive, and they need the sun to give light to them down there. It's not like they're taking it to use it as a weapon, even though Above Ground thinks they're taking it to use it as a weapon, which is wrong. They're using it for them to live, and they don't want to be bothered, but they need this to live, and to see that, but see, Above Ground, where they're going to take this and use this, they don't want them to take it. It's experimental. It's actually experimental and unstable. So something bad could happen with it if you use it at the same time. So it's an interesting dynamic. Overall, I did enjoy this book. While I'm not necessarily whole caught up in the powerless Superman thing, the other stuff is more interesting to me than him being powerless, because we know eventually this will play itself out. He'll eventually be powerful again. But for right now, it's interesting him being put in these situations where he's not what he used to be, and he has to see it more as immortal, because he is almost mortal now. He's stronger than a human, but he can still die. He can still seriously be hurt. He doesn't have laser vision. He can't fly. He doesn't heal very fast anymore. So he is mortal, and he sees the world as immortal. And even he sometimes says, he even makes comments in this book about his superhero friends, so they can go do what they do, and he's the weak one now, right? But he still believes the world needs Superman, despite the fact how weak he is, things that he can do. So you learn, it's more a lot about the character and how he sees things, which is rather interesting. Anyway, I enjoyed this book a lot. What did you think of Batman Superman 23? Ironically enough, it's more Superman than Batman. Batman wasn't in very much this issue, so it's more about Batman this issue. Superman, sorry, in his Truth storyline, which is continuing through all the books that he's in right now. Anyway, love to hear your guys' opinions on this issue. Like always, whether agree with me or disagree with me, this is about a discussion about comic books. And thank you guys for watching and liking the video. I do appreciate it. And I'll make another video soon. Later.